From the mandate to wipe out tears and afflictions, restore men to their destinies by the revelation of the word, manifestation of power and reality of the Holy Spirit, many lives have been transformed. Testimony Studio is that platform which is given to everyone who has gotten an encounter with God through the lives and ministry of the Restoration Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. Join me live on Celebration TV.
Jesus, releasing destinies. This is Celebration TV.
To 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor Ibikule Amosu. Welcome to News Desk on Celebration TV. I am Comfort James and thank you so very much for joining us. Quickly, let's take a look at the news making the rounds for today. Apostle Suleiman raises concern for visa on arrival for all African nationals. Netflix comes under more fire as 2 million Christians demand the removal of the first temptation of Christ from their streaming services. Hyundai to set up car plants in Nigeria. We have to believe El Clasico will go ahead, says Zidane. Stay with us as we bring you the details of the news just right after this time out. Welcome back. And now, the news in details. Apostle Suleiman raises concern for visa on arrival for all African nationals. Recorded Thursday, 12 December, President Muhammadu Buhari announced via news outlets visa on arrival for all African nationals. This is coming after the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, mentioned Nigeria was working towards adopting a visa on arrival regime as part of the policy of ease of doing business in Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari said it showed Nigeria's commitment to free movement of Africans within Africa. The announcement comes 5 months after Nigeria signed a deal aimed at promoting free trade on the continent. But Mr. Buhari's critics accuse him of being a protectionist, undermining the vision of Pan-African unity. Currently, applicants for visa to Nigeria often need to make a request in their country of origin, and it will be issued when they arrive in the West African states. This will change in the new year, where citizens of all African states will be able to board a plane to Nigeria and get a visa on arrival. This policy has raised concern for Nigerian senior pastor, Omega Fire Ministries International. Apostle Johnson Suleiman has expressed his concern during the early hours of today, Wednesday, 18th December, and this was through his verified Twitter handle. Pondering on overpopulation, infrastructure and crime rates, been thinking about the government's decision to give visa on arrival to all holders of African passport. Won't that make Nigeria flooded with our already limited infrastructure and increased crime rate? Still wondering the rationale behind the decision. Thinking aloud, the apostle said. Recall that the Senate on Tuesday, 16 December, summoned the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aregbesola, to appear before it in company with the Controller General of Nigerian Immigration Service, Muhammadu Babandede, to brief the Senate on the latest visa on arrival policy. Also from the local scene, African leaders must emulate Mandela, says Buhari. President Muhammadu Buhari has said former South African President, the late Nelson Mandela, left a legacy other African political leaders should emulate. Buhari said that Mandela example was to vacate office once the constitutionally approved term of office had expired. He spoke at the State House when he received the letters of credence from High Commissioner of South Africa to Nigeria, Mr. T.D. Clasico. The president recalled that Mandela, after 27 years in prison, served only one term as a president and relinquished power. Nigeria and South Africa has been on the edge of recent times over xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in South Africa, a development that almost led to cessation of diplomatic ties earlier this year. But on Tuesday, Buhari reserved kind words for his South African counterpart, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, saying that he was impressed with the way he addressed the issue in October. Nigeria had, at the height of the attacks, threatened to recall its commissioner to South Africa. In the days that followed, many Nigerians were evacuated back home from South Africa. Buhari also visited South Africa in October after Ramaphosa sent a special envoy to see him in Abuja. However, Buhari told the new envoy on Tuesday that he was impressed with Ramaphosa. On his part, the new envoy promised to ensure that the decisions taken by the two countries were implemented. In more news unfolding, Reps block 6-year single-term proposal for president and governors. The House of Representatives on Tuesday voted against a bill seeking an amendment to the Constitution to make the president and state governors serve only one term of 6 years. The bill also proposed that members of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly should equally serve a 6-year single term. The bill, sponsored by Mr. John Jegg from Benue State, which was considered for second reading, was stood down by the lawmakers. It was titled A Bill for an Act to Alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to provide for a single term of 6 years for the president and governors, and a 6-year term for members of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly. The 7th and 8th National Assembly had failed in their bid to institutionalize a single-term presidency and governorship. The failed attempts were made in 2013 and 16, respectively. At the House on Tuesday, most of the lawmakers who debated the bill spoke against it while expressing their outright rejection of the proposal. Earlier, Jegg, while moving the motion, said in Nigeria, in most cases, our common sense of humanity when lives matter is lost during re-election. Lives are lost as a result of desperate struggle to remain in power for a second tenure, limiting the term of office of a president or governor to a single elongated tenure, therefore offers a promising and long-term solution to the avoidable loss of lives and sources attributable to conflicts arising from re-election processes. The sponsor stated that a 6-year single term would make the president or governor to be more focused and dedicated, while the usual do-or-die battles for re-election would be eliminated. Many lawmakers, however, said attention should be paid to electoral reforms to make votes count and elections less expensive. When the Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Wase, who presided over the plenary, put the passage of the bill for second reading to voice vote, the lawmakers overwhelmingly voted against it. Wase consequently ruled that the bill be stepped down. Now finally, from the local scene, court asked DSS AGF why Showery is still detained. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Tuesday ordered the Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Bichi, and the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, to explain why the Revolution Now protest convener Omoyele Showery was still being detained despite the bail granted by the courts. Justice ENQUIRY made the order in a ruling on the ex parte application filed on Showery's behalf by his lawyer, Mr. Marshall Abubakar. He adjourned till December 23rd to enable the two defendants to the suit filed on behalf of Showery on December 10, 2019 to appear through their lawyers to state their own sides of the story. Abubakar had in the suit urged the court to order the DSS boss and the AGF to produce Showery in court for an unconditional release from custody based on the order for his release made by Justice Ijoma Ojukwu on November 6, 2019. The DSS and the AGF had charged Showore and his co-defendant Olawale Bakare on charges of treasonable felony before Justice Ojukwu. But ruling on the application moved by Abubakar on Tuesday, Justice Eko said he needed to hear from the two defendants before taking a decision on the request for the unconditional release of Showore. He then adjourned the case till December 23rd as he directed the Deputy Chief Registrar of the court to serve hearing notices on the two defendants. Showore's lead counsel, Mr. Femi Falana San, had earlier in a statement on Tuesday urged the AGF to direct the agency to immediately release the Sahara Reporter's publisher from illegal detention. Right now, we're going on a break, and when we return, we shall bring you follow-up stories on the Netflix boycott with regards to the controversial Christmas parody, The First Temptation of Christ. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
A desirable moment of love, atmosphere graced with joy and merriment. Experience the beauty of His birth. Enjoy sweet melodies. Christmas carol service with Apostle and Dr. Lizzie Johnson Suleiman. 22nd of December 2019, and the time is 4 p.m. GMT+1 at the International Worship Center, Omega Fire Ministries, Auchi in the State, Nigeria. For inquiry, call +234 806 464 6180. Come celebrate.
Welcome back. In foreign news now. Netflix comes on the more fire as 2 million Christians demand the removal of The First Temptation of Christ from their streaming services. And there are strong indications that the online streaming platform Netflix may have no choice than to remove the movie The First Temptation of Christ from their streaming services. This is after 2 million persons appended their signatures to a petition against the streaming of the movie on the platform, with over 98% from Brazil. This was the aftermath of the Brazil Bishops' Conference concerns raised about the movie, which portrayed Jesus Christ as gay. Other persons from across the globe joined the bishops in Brazil to demand the cancellation of the movie and a boycott of Netflix, one of which is the senior pastor of Omega Fire Ministries, Apostle Johnson Suleiman. This tweet, which has since gone viral, was reported to have been a major headline in Pakistani media firm. We are now being joined by the Kingdom correspondent for Celebration TV, Win Momo. Welcome, Win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, too.
So quickly, we are looking at the recently released Christmas parody by the Portadus Funders Group, and then we are wondering, can you share with us what the implications are of releasing such a movie into the market?
Well, the implications are very grievous. They are terrible. Okay. Yes, because first let me talk about the faith of Christians. This can actually affect the faith of Christians, most especially those who are not so strong in the faith. And also it can weaken the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ here on earth. We're talking about this movie, The First Temptation of Jesus, going out to the market. So when this is weakened, the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, it can bring about frustrating the harvest of Jesus Christ coming to redeem mankind back to God. So you see, I think in Matthew 24:14, the Bible talks about the gospel of Christ going to be preached around the world. The witness of all nations, then the end shall come. And now, this is the end. The end has come. You know, the devil will just look for every strategy, every move to frustrate what Jesus Christ has come to do on earth. So just to say, oh, this person that God wants to call to himself, he just wants to see that doesn't work.
That leaves me wondering, have you seen the movie for yourself?
Yeah, I think I've seen, but the truth is, I couldn't really. I saw the trailer about Jesus coming in with a boy. the truth of the matter is, it's trying to, I think, work against the what the Bible said about male and female made in them.
Okay.
Yes, male and female made in them. Now you're talking about a boy. I don't want to say Jesus. Another. Yeah.
It's fine. I get your point. Okay. But then that leaves me wondering. This isn't the first time a movie such as this is being produced. As a matter of fact, the Portatus Founders Group are known for releasing antichrist projects. As a matter of fact, last year, I think a movie such as this was released, which was titled The Last Hangover. There we have Jesus being portrayed as a drunk and all that. So what is different about the situation? Why this uproar at this point in time? What makes us different?
Well, I wouldn't say this is different totally, because this is something that has occurred before, and it is reoccurring. And you talked about the last angle, but there is even another one. I think it's just a secret code, something that said Jesus got married to Mary Magdalene, and it was more like Jesus had a lineage.
So why the reaction now?
Yeah, I think the reaction now is that I believe, first of all, let's know that the enemy is very consistent.
Okay.
Yes, consistency is one thing about the enemy. He has done it before, he wants to bring it again. So by so doing, swaying the believers of their faith, by entering it, creeping into the life of believers. And you know that if this happened, it will frustrate the mandate of Christ. And this time it is very important, because it is a battle that everyone and every Christian should hold strong, because we need to resist the devil, because he's a roaring lion seeking whom to devour. So once we resist him, it will flee. So I think this is a strategic
so you must have heard about the petition.
Yes,
we have signatures have been collected globally for a petition asking that this movie be brought down. Do you think, or let me say, how effective do you think this petition would be? What do you think this whole process will bring about?
Okay, I think it is going to bring forward what we want, which is bringing down the movie, The First Temptation of Jesus, out of Netflix. Because the truth is, allowing this kind of movie to go out in the first place will cause a lot of damage, which we've talked about before. And now, signing this petition, we need everyone, every Christian, every believer, to sign this petition, because bringing that movie down is what we should do, and it should be done. And this petition is what will make it stand.
Okay, the petition is about bringing the movie down from Netflix, but I don't think it will stop further production of movies like this.
Yes, you know, I talked about the devil is consistent.
Yes, of course.
He will not stop. So what we need to do, we will continue to fight, because we need to be united to God. You understand? Okay.
All right. I think the petition is only opening up to the possibility that Netflix indeed will comply with what is being requested. But looking at the event that Netflix refuses to bring this movie down, what will be the next step?
I'm not going to be negative at this point, because I believe they have to. Yes, because it's what we want to happen. But if they don't, I think the boycott to Netflix should be very strong. And I believe pressing charges won't be a bad idea. Of course, it won't be a bad idea, because this movie needs to go. I don't want to believe that it will not. Yes, I don't want, because it has to be brought down.
All right, no problem. We are hoping that Netflix does listen to the opinions and the voice of the public and does take the movie down, hopefully. So thank you so much, Will Mama, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yesterday we had Ruth Obuzege, and we looked at the business aspect and the numbers, what it will have, the effect it will have on Netflix if For instance, all Christians worldwide decide to have their subscription cancelled on Netflix. Anyway, do well to stay focused and connected to Celebration TV News Desk, because we shall be bringing you more follow-up stories as it regards the Netflix boycott. And coming up next after this break is news from the world of business. We'll be right back.
Shout Jesus! Out! 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 Fire all over you! There's a difference between powers and power. In Luke 10:19, Jesus said, I give unto you power over the powers. Aragasaga, Engaragasaga. Anna Christine.
Yes.
That's your name?
Yes.
There is miracle power here. Miracle! 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 Fire and miracle night.
Welcome back, and now it's business news. Hyundai to set up car plants in Nigeria. Hyundai Engineering Company Limited said on Tuesday that it was on the verge of setting up a car plant in Nigeria. The South Korean firm also said it would invest in the rehabilitation of the country's petroleum refineries. President and Chief Executive Officer of Hyundai Engineering, Mr. Chang Hakim, stated this during a visit to the President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, Abuja. President Buhari, while welcoming the proposal, promised that the federal government would give the appropriate support to the firm to bring its plan to fruition. He also informed the CEO that Nigeria was focused on achieving energy security for the country, adding that the goal is to achieve self-sufficiency in the supply of petroleum products within the next 3 years. A statement by his media aide, Mr. Femi Adesina, after the meeting quoted Buhari as saying, "We will collaborate and support to make the investment a reality." Founded in 1967, the 51-year-old Hyundai has over 15,000 engineers and technical staff around the world. Hakim told Buhari that his firm was ready to invest in the Nigerian economy. And more from the world of business, Boeing to temporarily halt 737 MAX production in January. Boeing will temporarily halt production of its troubled 737 MAX airliner in January, the manufacturer has said. Production of the jet had continued despite the model being grounded for 9 months after 2 deadly crashes. More than 300 people died when the 2 737 MAX aircraft crashed in Indonesia and Ethiopia after reported problems with a new feature. Boeing had been hoping to have the planes back in the air by the end of this year, but U.S. regulators made it clear that they would not be certified to return to the skies that quickly. Last week, a congressional hearing was told that U.S. aviation regulators were aware, following the first crash in Indonesia in October 2018, that there was a risk of further accidents. The Federal Aviation Authority's analysis suggested that there could be more than a dozen more crashes over the lifetime of the aircraft unless changes were made to its design. Despite that, the 737 MAX was not grounded until after the second crash in Ethiopia in March 2019. Boeing is redesigning the automated control system thought to have been the primary cause of the crashes. The manufacturer said it had 400 of the 737 MAX aircraft in storage and would focus on delivering those to customers. While many airlines around the world have the plans on order, delivery was halted to allow Boeing's engineer to develop software fixes. The situation surrounding the 737 MAX is extraordinary. 9 months after the aircraft was grounded worldwide, it is still not clear when it will be certified to fly again. Regulators criticized for allowing a flawed aircraft to fly in the first place and now playing the hardball. And news from the world of sports is next as Tyson Fury welcomes sparring offer for Deontay Wilder bout. Stay with us to bring you the details of this news after this break.
It's going to be more than expected, more than a feeling, total reliance on God. Glory Night, 31st December 2019. Be at the crossover night with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman, live at the International Worship Center, Omega 5 Ministries Headquarters, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. Bye.
Welcome back. In sports, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury welcomes sparring offer for Deontay Wilder bout. Tyson Fury says he would love to take up Anthony Joshua's offer of sparring before he faces Deontay Wilder. Fury, 31, drew with WBC World Heavyweight Champion Wilder in 2018 and is set for a rematch on 22nd of February. Joshua, who holds the IBF, WBA and WBO belts, feels Fury would be more likely to agree for a fight for all 4 titles and offer to help his fellow Briton. "I would love to have you in camp, work out for this fight and give Deontay Wilder a proper beating," said Fury. Fury offered his congratulations to Joshua for his win over Andy Ruiz Jr. on 7 December, where he reclaimed his world titles after losing to the Mexican in June. Joshua says he has already been studying Alexander Usyk, who he could face in the short term, given the Ukrainian fighter's status as mandatory challenger with the WBO. Bulgaria's Kubrat Belov is also a mandatory challenger with the IBF, meaning the prospect of any fight between Joshua and Fury or Wilder still appears some time away. Fury's bout with 34-year-old Wilder is said to be taking place in Las Vegas, although no venue has yet been confirmed for the bout. Fury is currently in process of joining up with a new trainer, Javan Sugar Hill, having parted company with Ben Davison. Still from the world of sports, Man City manager expects quick decision on Mikel Arteta after holding Arsenal talks. Pep Guardiola expects a quick decision on whether Mikel Arteta will become Arsenal's new manager and says he cannot make an argument for the former Gunner not taking the job. Manchester City expect to have Arteta in the dugout for the Carabao Cup quarter-final at Oxford on Wednesday. City's assistant manager has spoken with senior Arsenal figures about the possibility of replacing Unai Emery. "I think the decision is going to happen quick," said Guardiola. Arteta, 37, took part in City training on Tuesday after 2 rounds of discussions with the Gunners. Gunners chief executive Vinay Venkatesham was pictured outside former Spain under-21 international Arteta's home after both flew north following City's 3-0 win at Arsenal on Sunday. It is not yet known whether Arteta would have been offered the chance to succeed compatriot Emery, who was sacked in November. Guardiola, however, has been kept fully informed of discussions and has spoken to Arteta to some degree. He wants to leave the man he brought into his coaching team when he joined City in 2016 to make his own decision. Arteta has been touted as Guardiola's successor at Etihad Stadium, although that has not played any part in the charts the pair have heard. Guardiola says he was surprised no one at Arsenal raised their interest in Arteta to senior City officials on Sunday. With Arsenal 10th in the Premier League, Guardiola wonders how easy the task of rebuilding the club will be for Arteta if he does go. And finally, on sports news and news desk, we have to believe El Clasico will go ahead, says Zidane. Real Madrid manager Zinedine Zidane says they have to believe Wednesday's El Clasico against fierce rivals Barcelona will go ahead. The La Liga match was originally scheduled for 26 October but was postponed because of fears of civil unrest in Catalonia. Both sides are level on 35 points, but back atop the table on goal difference. In games like this, you've got to produce your best throughout the 90 minutes, said Zidane. The game has been delayed by 2 months after days of protests took place in Barcelona as 9 Catalan separatist leaders were convicted of sedition over their role in the referendum and handed jail sentences of between 9 and 13 years. La Liga made a postponement request because of exceptional circumstances beyond our control, as more protests were expected in Barcelona on the day of the match. Both clubs, however, disagreed with calls to switch the game to Madrid, but will share the same hotel in the lead-up to Wednesday's game and travel at the same time 2 hours before kickoff amid security concerns, Barcelona head coach Ernesto Valverde added. I think we could have played the game on the original day, and there is no reason why we can't play the game tomorrow. And that has been the size of the news for today from Celebration Television News Desk. But just in case you missed out, here is a recap of the news making the rounds. Apostle Suleiman raises concern for visa on arrival for all African nationals. Netflix comes on the more fire as 2 million Christians demand the removal of the First Temptation of Christ from their streaming services. Hyundai to set up car plants in Nigeria. We have to believe our Clasico will go ahead, says Zidane. Do not forget you can stay connected to us through our social media platforms to be kept abreast of news and other events as they unfold. On Facebook, it is Celebration TV. On Instagram, My Celebration TV. On Twitter, My Celebration TV. And on YouTube, www.youtube.com/Celebration TV. I am Comfort James, and thank you so very much for joining us.
To 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross of